So if you would please bring up your editor of choice, whatever it happens to be. I'm just going to use Notepad++. I can make it fairly big. So remember this stuff? Yeah? Okay, I know it's been a while, but I'm going to put some stuff in here. I'm going to build this thing really, really, really incrementally. All right, if we get most of the shopping cart done today, great. Then we'll spend most of tomorrow using Bootstrap to pretty it up. And the reason I don't feel bad about doing this is we got to go over Bootstrap anyway. All right, and it's getting us back into thinking logically, etc. So hopefully this is going to be a good idea. All right. Now, can somebody tell me? We're going to put three meta tags in here, but before we do, what's that first meta tag do? You remember? Yeah, it's basically, for lack of better words, it says we're using Unicode. All right. Back before Unicode, we used ASCII, but with Unicode, we can represent over 100,000 different characters. All right. So in essence, that's what we're saying. Okay. Now I'm going to do this real quick. No, if you want to do it in Atom or something like that, you know, or brackets, it doesn't matter.
No, I just meant like not Visual Studio Project.
No, this is not going to be a Visual Studio. This is what I hope within a few weeks we're going to be converting this into a Visual Studio project. All right. No, if you put it in double quotes, then it should take the .html, yeah. So I'm giving it a title. I'm just calling it Shopping Cart Client Side because that's what we're doing. Now, just stop for a second. Look up on the screen if you would. I want you to go out here. Unless you really like to type, and I don't think any of you do. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So go out to here. And you're going to have to go down about halfway on the page to where you see up on the screen here where it says Bootstraps Cdn. See this? That's where I want you to get to. Everybody able to get there? Anybody who couldn't get there? It's not letting you what?
It's not letting the page. It's saying not prepared in a studio one quite there. Mine says not prepared.
Well, then try to just go here. try to just go to getbootstrap.com. All right. And once you're, can you get there? Okay. Then click on near the top on the nav bar, click where it says documentation. All right. That should bring you like here. Is that what it looks like now? Well, mine's done to getting started. Yours might be someplace else. I don't know. So all you have to do if you got to this point is just change the word introduction to the word download. So you can just remove the word introduction, or you can click over here where it says download. All right. And now once you do that, if you go down about halfway, now do you see this? Yeah. Evan? Yeah? Tony? Okay. We could make this hard. I'm going to try to make it easy even though it won't seem like it. Take this first line here that says link. You can copy them both. That's fine. Just click copy. Copy to clipboard. All right. So that'll copy both these lines right here. All right. We're going to move one of them, but that's okay. Then paste it in. Yeah, right under the title. It's in the head section, so it really doesn't matter the order in which you do most of this stuff. See this script one that we just put in, this one? Move that down. So cut that and put it right up above the body tag. So yours looks like this. Inside the body, not below the ending body tag. So still inside the body. Is this what everyone's looks like now? All right. Just so you know, if you look up on the screen here, see where it says, okay, so we've got link, href. You don't have to move these. I'm going to put this on a couple lines so hopefully you can see more of it. That's all. You don't have to do that. All right? Technically, you don't need all this integrity equals, etc., cross origin. That's all if you're worried about somebody stealing your code. All right? So I'm just going to get rid of it. I don't really need it. So in other words, if you look at mine, this is what I changed mine to. I'll make it a little smaller. There. You don't have to do that. You can do that if you want to. All right? What this says, in English, what this says is we are going to use the Bootstrap CSS file. All right? Now, I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm going to come down to here where I've got this one, and I'm going to get rid of the same stuff. So now this is what I have. Everybody there? Now, don't type, just watch for a second, okay? We're used to doing stuff like this. We're used to coming in here and saying link rel equals style sheet href equals css/style.css. Would you all agree with that? We're used to doing stuff like that. We're going to do that, but I'm going to put the CSS right in here for now and move it later so we don't have to constantly move back and forth between files. Does that make sense to everyone? So you can put that line in, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick a style tag right here. Like I said, I don't want it where we're constantly having to bop back and forth between files. When we finish with this, we will create this file right here. And the way we will create that file is we'll take everything we put in here and put it in an external file. All right? So far, we put in our meta tags. We put in our title tag. We've got our style sheet links. And we added a script tag. All right? All right, the next thing that I want us to do, if you look up on the screen again, please, is now these two lines that are right here, this Jquery and popper, I want us to grab both of those. All right? So copy that to the clipboard. The one right below where we just copied, the one right here. So copy that to the clipboard, go back to your file, and for now, we're going to move one of them, unfortunately, but just paste it right up above the other tag that you have, the other JavaScript tag that you have. You can. Now, if we had a purist here, somebody, they'd be coming in and saying, what the hell are you having them do it like that for? Why are you having them remove all of that security stuff? Whatever. Yeah, stick it. But it's because I just decided to do it that way. All right? We may or may not need popper. We probably won't, but we're just going to put it there anyway. All right? Just so you know, we're just going to put it there anyway. So I'm going to do the same type of thing. Yeah, as Tony just said, I'm going to remove all the integrity stuff and all of that cross-origin stuff. All right. So now it looks like this. Hopefully, in just a second, that's what yours looks like. If you read some books, they say, oh, in order to do this, you got to use popper, like we've got right here. Other ones, oh, in order to do this, you don't need popper, you need tether. They're pretty much the same files. They're JavaScript library files that have a bunch of stuff in them. But I don't think we're going to use any of that stuff. But we're going to keep that in there anyway. All right? Any questions on what we've done so far? All right? Then what we're going to do, again, after we put in all this other stuff, we're just going to put in empty script tags right there. All right? And the reason I'm putting those in is now I can put my own code in there. Okay? Does everybody realize, if you look up on the screen, it's going to load this. It's going to load that bootstrap.min.css file. Then it's going to load my own CSS file. So if my own CSS file, since it comes after the bootstrap.min.css, if my own style.css overwrites anything in the bootstrap, it's overwritten permanently. Does that make sense? Because the order we put it in. Same thing in here. This is actually fairly new. If you see this, notice it says .slim.min.js. What they've done is they've really gone through Jquery and said, okay, this is the stuff you'll need really to do Bootstrap. And they ripped out just about everything else you wouldn't need to make it even smaller. All right? All right. I want to see right now, I want to see if this is working. Okay? So we're going to put some junk in there right now, and it's just going to be junk for right now. All right? We'll move it in just a second, but we'll do that maybe after the break. But for now, I'm going to come in, and I actually want it where I can see something. Would you agree if you look on the screen here, if I launch this? Nothing shows because I don't have anything in there yet. All I've got is a bunch of links to files. Well, that doesn't really show us whether or not this works. It doesn't really show us much of anything. So let's come into the body, and right under the beginning, our beginning body tag, we're going to put a div in here. We have a starting div, of course. We need what? An ending div, right? Okay. All right, and this is just going to be garbage that we're going to put in for now. If you say, I don't know what you mean, we're going to run it in a minute, and you'll see exactly what I mean. All right. These are going to be our products. For now, we're not going to even fill them in. All right. You can type in what I'm typing. Yeah, let's put a break tag. I don't have one in mind. Probably it'll look better though if we do. First of all, you guys are way too trusting. Let me run it and see if it looks correct. That looks good. That's just a placeholder. Later, we're going to put a New England Patriots hat in there. Why? So that Tony can get his rocks off. All right? Because he'll get so excited, he won't even know what to do. So. We could do either one. I'm putting in a div because later we may decide that we want to give it a class, and typically if you're going to use classes, you put them in divs.
No, I mean within the div.
Are you talking about this div here? Could that have been a paragraph or whatever? No.
Put a P in front of it.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
We could have done that too. Yeah. That probably would have been cleaner. I think what you're saying is make this a P tag, and then we wouldn't have needed the BR. Oops. See that? Yeah, since it's a block level tag, it automatically puts a blank line in there. All right? That's probably a little cleaner. Now, you may or may not have heard of it before, but placehold.it, typically it's called placeholdit, all right? It allows you to go in, and it just puts literally like a gray box in there of whatever size you tell it to put in. All right? So, does this make sense to you if you look up on the screen right now, even if you're still typing? Stop for a second. Does it make sense that this is going to be our item? This will be the information about the item, and when we click here, we're attempting to add it to our shopping cart. Does that all make sense? All right. All right. Then the last thing that we're going to do for right now is we're going to start putting some of our own code in the script. All right, because right now I just showed you this. I can go click this till my heart's content. And I can even go and I can bring up my tools here. It says file not found. I'm not worried about that right now. Oh, it says because I don't have a CSS file by that name. That's okay. But the point is, if I go over to my console, and even if I come up here and I click, nothing's happening. Would you agree with that? All right. So if that bugs you, we can just take that line that we're putting in our own style sheet. For now, we can comment that line out. All right. I just commented out the line with our own style sheet. We'll comment it back in later, or uncomment it. All right. One thing we've never talked much about in here, we didn't talk much about it first semester, we're going to a little bit now, and that is Jquery. Jquery is a JavaScript library. We're able to use it because of that line that we put in there in line 29. That gives us access to virtually everything that exists in Jquery. Since it's a library, you can kind of look at it that way. We now have access to any of the books that are in that library. Make sense? All right. When you start to work with Jquery, virtually always, please don't type because I want to show you the syntax, okay? Believe me, I'm not going to hurry here, but I'm going to put in this. And that was wrong. See, that's why 2 was already wrong. Now, when you start to work with jQuery, this is what I'm showing you right now because I'm going to put in a couple lines of code. But before I do, this is almost always the syntax for it. This document.ready says run whatever comes after this, run it, but run it after the document's been loaded into memory. That's what that says. So once it's been loaded into memory, we're going to call a function. Notice, if you look on the screen here, there's the beginning paren, there's the ending paren. See that? In fact, normally you'll put a semicolon after it. All right? And the function, in this case, won't have any parameters. And notice the curly here goes with the curly right there. All right? So in English, it's saying, hey, once the document's been loaded into memory, run this particular function. That's it. That's all it says. All right? So what are we going to do? Well, it's like 3 or 4 lines of code. So let me type it in. Then I want to go over what every line that's in there means. All right? You're all smart enough to realize that's not going to stay in there real long. All right, where it says item was clicked. It's more or less, again, just a placeholder. Please key all that stuff in. All right, please key all that stuff in. And once you're done, we'll talk about what everything in there means. It's not really an alert. It's hidden, but it's a hidden informational dialogue. All right. An alert assumes there's something wrong, typically. It's going to, So let's make sure this worked. So I'm going to run it. When you run it, you have to hit your F12 key. That brings up console.log. Now notice what happens every time I click this. See that? How it's showing me how many times it's been clicked? See that? Now that wasn't honestly, that's not meant so you go, oh wow, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. But it proved to us, at least at the start, that what we're working on worked. And see this right here? What does this mean? What does dot product item mean? What does dot mean? Class. And if you look up above here, remember how we call this class product item? That was why we gave that hyperlink. That's why we gave it a class. So when we click it, when we click that hyperlink right there, we can refer to it in code. What do you think this does? The gray line. What do you think the gray line does? Yeah. Well, I could read that too. But in English, what do you think that does? What happens when you click a hyperlink by default? Well, yeah, that's true. But typically, doesn't it go somewhere? We're telling it that if we had put in here, if we had put an address in here, for example, all right, now we're telling it every time we click the go to cart, we're telling it to go to Rankin, correct? This is saying no, prevent the default, don't let that happen. So notice, and I'll remove it, but even if I've got that in there and I click, I don't go anywhere. See that? Now, do we have to do that? It's a preventative measure. I always love that when people say, do we have to? Do we have to? You know, a long time ago, a guy told me, I was at this seminar, and a guy said, you don't have to do anything in life you don't want to, you don't have to do anything in life, period, if you're willing to pay the consequences. Guy raised his hand, he goes, you have to breathe. And he goes, not if you're willing to die. But when you think about it, it's true. All right, this says every time we click that hyperlink on the console log, let us know that that item was clicked. Rather than having it print, it keeps count of it. All right, that's what it's doing by default. Any question on any of that stuff? Does it make sense? Andrew, make sense? Okay, good.
What's the E? What is function?
The E is just, you can call it anything. When you have the click event, E is the event, and it's the stuff that gets passed in by default. No, it gets passed in by default. You have to account for it, even if you're not going to use it. All right? All right. So far, this kind of stinks. You know, this product info description. I mean, that doesn't say very much. At least I don't think it does. All right? So we can leave it like that, and that's okay. We've got our class, etc., and we've got our add to cart. But in order to work on this, we're going to need to take this and give it a lot more information. All right? In other words, what we're going to supply right now is information that we can give to JavaScript or Jquery that's going to tell us what this item is called, how much it costs, and what its ID is. Okay? So look on the screen here. I'm going to move this line here, this line, that add to cart, I'm going to move it down a little, and I'm going to take this thing, this ending thing, I'm going to hit enter there. And I'm going to put that down on its own line, just for now. I can always move it later. All right? I mean, if you want to be real anal about this, I can do this. I can say, okay, there's the href, there's the class. Now we're going to add a few other things. We're going to say data name equals Pat's hat. This is where we'll put the New England Patriots hat. Data price equal, and we're going to put $2,000. Now it's not $2,000. We'll account later for the decimal place. All right? And it's data, not date. Sorry. Data price. And finally, data ID is going to be equal to 1. All right? Now I can bring that thing back. Do you notice, if you look on the screen, please, do you notice how data name, data price, and data ID are not red like the other things are? Those are JavaScript attributes that we're using. So they're not recognized as HTML attributes. If they were, they would be the same color. No, every browser should support this stuff. This is the stuff that we're doing now. It's universal, and it's not very, it's not old or new, really. So we can do this now. Now, if I ran the program, I'm not going to, but if I ran the program right now, it wouldn't look any different. We haven't told it to do anything different. But now we don't need this console.log item was clicked anymore. We don't need this. All right? But we are going to put something in here. We'll remove it, but we're going to put something in here nevertheless. So let's put in a console. Let's put in another console.log, and let's remove the item was clicked, and let's put in there $, this. Just like that. Just like that. So make sure that this is the line, no pun intended, that gets put in there. Everybody have that? Good time to save. I'm going to do a run. I'm going to run it in Chrome. I'm again going to hit my F12 key. All right, I'm going to move this down a bit, and I'm going to click Add to Cart. Now look at what we have down here. It's got here a bunch of junk, R, FN, and NIT, etc. When I click that, and I click that, it's got a whole ton of information in it. See that? These are all literally everything that you see in there. If I wanted to, I don't, but if I wanted to, I would be able to put code with any of that stuff. Like I said, I don't want to, but I could if I did want to. There's just a lot of stuff in there. All right. And again, not being funny, that's all fine, but we don't really need that in there either. So I'm going to remove the $ this that is there, and I'm going to create something else. In fact, before I do the console, I'm going to put in a variable. And I haven't been doing this, but let's put in some comments here. Okay, so document has been loaded into memory. Okay, so that's first thing. So I know the document's been loaded. Disregard hyperlink click. All right. Now I'm going to put in a variable here, and I'm going to call it item info. Why? Because that's going to be this stuff that's up here. It's going to be information about the item. If you don't like that name, you can call it something else, but then everywhere in my program I call it item info, you'll have to call it that other thing. All right? And I'm going to set it equal to, now I want to show you this. Don't type, because I'm going to show you the, quote, wrong way of doing it, then I'm going to fix it and show you the right way of doing it. Okay, so don't type this yet. So I've got var item info equals. Now some people do this, and it works. All right, so they say $ this dot data set. And that's everything that we just had in there. And then they say console dot log item info 0 dot, for example, name. What that should print out, in fact, I'm going to see if it does. All right, what that should print out is the name. That should print out Pat's hat. Does that make sense? All right. Again, don't type this in because I want to show you what's considered to be the better way of doing it. So I'm going to do a run. Now, if I have any errors when I do this, when I bring up the F12 key, it's going to show me an error right there, and it'll show me the line number over here. I'm not going to try to make errors because this will take long enough to begin with. So I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to click the Add to Cart. See that? Now again, it's not gee whiz, but I'm just showing you that it has now figured out I'm communicating, my HTML is communicating with my JavaScript. Does that all make sense? All right. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing it that way, but what's considered the better way of doing it is to take this thing right here out and put it over here. That you can type in. And it should work exactly the same when we do that. Again, it should work exactly the same when we do that. Let's find out. I'm going to save, run, launch it in Chrome, get my F12, my add to cart, and it's working the same. And if you said, okay, Jeff, I even sort of get what you're saying, but why would that work faster? Because you're putting the bracket 0 here so you're closer to the information you actually need. All right? You're making the system do less work that way. All right, it's just about 1:30. Let's take 10 minutes enough. All right, let's take till 1:40 then. Everything making sense so far? Good. It's not working?